Welcome to the Trailblazers Experience podcast. I'm your host, Intola, and looking forward to having amazing conversations celebrating women in business, entrepreneurs, STEM, and creatives. If you are enjoying this podcast, please follow, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I'm looking forward to hearing about what you thought about the conversations that we'll be having, what you thought about our guests, and any tips that you may have from your own experiences. On that note, let's get into the podcast. So, welcome to the Trailblazer Experience podcast, a podcast where we celebrate in real life trailblazers, entrepreneurs, women in business, creators, STEM. And I am so honored on episode 2 to have the amazing Katie Weir. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you know, it's always interesting. I've known you for so long, Katie, but I really need to read what I found about you because you are truly amazing. So this is what I've found on the internet and done my Googles. Katie Weir, known as the bra whisperer, advocate for body confidence and perfectly fitting bras, PR and influencing marketing manager at Curvy Kate, a degree in international fashion marketing, founder at Weir Wonderful. Let me say that again. Founder at Weir Wonderful. Have I summarized you in a nutshell?
Yes, apart from you missed out, big lover of Craig David.
Ooh, yes, can you feel me in? Let's not be singing here.
There we go. That always seems to make it into every interview I do. They're always like, and you love Craig David. So yeah, it only
Craig
feels
David,
right.
if you're listening, we need some tickets, basically, is what we're saying, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so lovely to have you here and welcome.
Thank you. I love to support any woman in any scenario. So the fact that you're doing this podcast is really exciting. And
Yeah, and I know someone was asking me saying, why do you think this podcast is necessary? Is I sort of want to inspire Generation Z, Generation Alpha, who are thinking, what kind of careers could I go into? How do I get into digital marketing? How do I start my own business? What does it entail? And not just reading a job description, but hearing from in real life trailblazers as you are. And hopefully we're inspiring someone out there to get into the space that you're in.
Definitely. And I think even just what you've said is really important because Trailblazer, aka that job, might not even be there yet. It might not even be a thing. Like you create that job.
Exactly. Yeah, you create your own path, your own journey. So just to loosen up, set the tone, we've got sort of what we are calling the Trailblazer Quickfire. Just a few questions, so people know who you are, get a bit relaxed. I feel like we're already relaxed, but we could, just relax a bit more. So I guess one of my first questions in that is, if you were to have a movie written about you, which actor or actress would you like to portray you and why?
Jennifer Lopez is my long-term icon, babe. Just so much love for her. And I'm a massive fan of Made in Manhattan. So if anything, J-Lo.
Like your life story.
Yeah, J-Lo, just go learn how to do some bra fitting and we're good.
I love that. I've always loved J-Lo and just the way she looks, her body, her work ethic. She's a mother, she's successful, and she makes amazing movies as well.
Yeah, and the whole Ben Affleck coming back into her life. I'm just here for her and love. I know that she loves love and she wants her love story. And I feel like hopefully she's finally getting it after years of trying to understand what she really needs in her life. So yeah.
Yeah, feels like my life story as well. But that's another podcast.
We should definitely go into that.
I know, for sure. Oh, if it was me, I would either want Angela Bassett to portray me because she's just amazing and looks brilliant, or Mary J. Blige because I'm just a massive fan. She's like incredible dancer, look, the hair color, she's always changing her image. I feel like she could, personify me really well.
Yeah, getting percolated.
Exactly, yeah. Are you a morning or evening person?
I feel like this has changed throughout my life. I used to be evening. I was up until like 3 a.m. and now I'm like 9 p.m. asleep. I want to be up early before everyone else, feeling smug when I've done my workout, when I've had my coffee and everyone else is, still waking up. There's no better feeling than walking out the door and seeing everyone else's curtains still closed and you're out there like, yeah,
I know.
I'm awake.
As we do when we're walking to the gym when the weather's great. Yeah, that kind of feeling. Yeah, I used to be the same. I used to be either a really, evening person staying up really, but now I'm early morning, need to get the day started, be productive. And then at 3 o'clock, I feel like I need a nap. But, it's because
I think that's the thing. I think in my life, I've understood that if I get up early, I'm more productive. Whereas if I stay up late, I'm procrastinating and I'm watching TV or I'm doing something on my phone. I'm not necessarily doing something positive in my life. But if I get up early, it's always positive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. What's your everyday style? How would you describe your everyday style?
I just love colour. I love sparkles. I love fluff. So usually there's some kind of fluff sequin bold colour within my outfit. But I also do love, the athleisure vibe. So I wear my leggings and my big jumpers quite often because I'm always pounding the streets going somewhere doing something. And you can't always do that in your thigh-high silver boots. So
No, no, and I feel like athleisure has just evolved over the years. That it's made it, especially perhaps in our industry where you can be a bit more casual at work and it's accepted and it's fine and you look good as well. Some great options out there.
yeah, definitely. I remember getting a job in a bar and you had to wear all black. And I put my leopard print shoes with this black outfit and I got sent home. I had to go get changed. And I was like, I'm leaving.
You
I'm
didn't get
leaving.
fired. You just got sent home. You didn't get fired. So that's
No, but I left because I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I want to add a little bit of my personality. And I think that's a big thing for me. It's like showing my personality through the way that I dress. And the minute I feel like I'm not doing that, I get a bit claustrophobic.
yeah. I mean, yes, clothing is a form of self-expression. So that's really important as well, isn't it? Beach or mountains?
Mountains. I'm mountain goat. That is what my friends call me. I love nothing more than like getting up a mountain, going for a long walk, feeling that fresh air at the top. Yeah, I'm really here for that. I like walking.
I guess it's also not as warm as just being on a beach. It feels like there's only one thing you could do. I mean, sipping cocktails and mimosas and so on. That's thing as well.
It depends exactly what beach you're on and what time of year. Because I went to Santorini last May and the weather took a turn for the worst. And me and my friend were stuck on this beach waiting for our flight. And it felt like the longest day of our lives. We were cold. It was grey. Like there was nothing to do. We had hardly any money left. And we just didn't want to be on this beach. So I think I'm a little bit traumatized from that. I need to go to a tropical destination. But
I went to Set last year for a festival. So Giles Peterson does a festival there over a few days, and it's an eclectic mix of craze. So there's African music, Afro, Caribbean, hip hop, and the beaches there were nice. It was really great Mediterranean weather. But the bars there were so expensive. I didn't know that you actually have to go shopping, get go to like an Aldi or Lidl or whatever form of supermarket you have where you live, buy everything and bring it to you. Because a bottle of fizz, yeah, exactly. Because a bottle of fizz there was going for like 40 euros. I was like, that's like 3 or 4, that's like a case of 6 of lovely wine. So there was a lot of preparation. And I was like, okay, this is more stressful than it actually should be.
did you just get drunk off vibes?
Yeah. Lots of vibes, the music, lots of dancing. I was like, I need to work this.
There we go. That's the best way.
Sure. So last gig or concert you went to?
Division. Hey, if I get caught cheating. I love it. I love him. It's amazing. Yeah, I went literally like 3 weeks ago and it was incredible. And I was in a good little daze for a week after, just reimagining all the moments.
Just buzzing. Yeah, I went the week after. So they were playing in London. So I went and I was like, I just need to see them. I went on my own. Like you said, just that vibe of being around people who are just also into the same music, and it was brilliant.
Did he get the girls up on stage?
Oh yeah, for sure.
The touch it
Yeah,
dance. I was like, damn, I wish I
disappointed it wasn't me, but never mind.
did. You know the touch it dance though.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, next time we'll go together and I'll make sure I scream loud enough to get you on that stage.
Exactly. Yeah. What's the hashtag you live by?
I think I do say YOLO a lot, which is probably going to make me sound like such a millennial. But yeah, YOLO. Spend too much money, do something wrong, YOLO. Literally, you only live once. Just do it.
Yeah, I guess it's that not just that, but I guess coming back to when we start talking about your career, it's just about the thing is, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, massively.
Fail quickly. What is it? Fail quickly and learn and, get over that hurdle and keep going, keep going. You're right. You only have one life to live. Or I don't know what we're coming back as, so it depends as well.
I hope I come back as a turtle.
A caterpillar.
Hey, I'm gonna be in the ocean, like just swimming.
Oh, right.
Nicely.
Okay. Well, I thought with all the mountain and hiking,
No, turtle. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my other life.
And they live forever as well.
There we
Or
go.
a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully the oceans will be cleared up by then, so I can just,
Otherwise,
nice
you'd be eating
swim
plastic.
around. Hey,
You'll be eating plastic.
no, I know.
Yeah. Right. We digress. So, who is your trailblazer woman? If you were to look at someone and say, this woman is a trailblazer. I know you've talked about J-Lo, but we're now getting into the nitty-gritty of your career, business. Who is a trailblazer woman for you?
Well, for me, I have so many women in my life. In the job that I'm in, I just meet women all the time. I have a lot of female friends in my friendship group. So there's many different definitions of trailblazer, including like the mum who has 3 children, who has to get them all ready for school in the morning, who has to get to work, who then has to cook dinner for her husband and sort him out and make him happy. Like, to me, that's crazy and just, wow, you're amazing. How do you do that? And then I have like the business women who I look up to. So at the start of my career, it was very much Michelle Mone. She was like the PR queen of lingerie. She's not so much who I look up to right now. She's been a little bit naughty, but at the very start of my career, she was that woman. When I was at university, I was like, wow, like the way that she portrays her brand, how she does it all through PR. To me, she was just incredible. And her brand Ultimo is definitely one that I looked up to as I was younger. But now, I think because I've become savvy to social media, to influencers, to celebrities, I don't really look up to those people as much. It's more people I meet in day-to-day life. So for example, I met the CEO of New Look the other week and we had coffee and we chatted and I learned so much from her and how she'd gotten into business. And then we talk about the MD of Curvy Kate, who started out as a bra fitter and is now the MD, and just learning about these journeys of women is just so important and so amazing. So I guess in a way, like what your podcast is doing is just showing how everyday people can become something amazing, is really important. So yeah, I just think every woman I've ever met is a trailblazer, to be honest.
Yeah, and you've touched on a very important point. So for the audience that is listening, it generally means there is no one person that you look up to or influenced by. It could be your village, your girlfriends, your sisters, your gym buddies, your boss, and it evolves in different stages of your career. And we're supposed to learn from that as we get along. You talked about one person was of influence, and now it's turned into somebody else. So that's really important as well. So let's talk about your career. It's important to know what you do, how you got there, because there are women out there or men who are trying to get into the digital marketing space and they don't even know where to start. But maybe just talk a little bit about your journey. Let's talk about uni, what you did, and how you've ended up where you are now. Way back.
Let's take it back. So I have to say that probably my love affair with bras started when I was about 15. So I got boobs when I was 11 and was very much the focal point of swimming from the age of 11. And then as I grew up, kind of like my boobs were getting in the way. They were holding me back. So my mum took me for a professional bra fitting. during that bra fitting, I was put in a Triumph Doreen bra at the age of 15. Now, if any of you know what that bra is, it's a very conical shaped bra that hits the collarbone and gives you no shape whatsoever, and is meant for ladies probably above the age of 60. So that was my first ever bra fitting experience. It was in strip lighting, very cold fitting room with a woman who wore her glasses on the end of the nose, and didn't really talk me through the process. So basically, I was scared. I put this bra on and I cried for a week. I was just like, what? If this is what having boobs is, I don't want them. You know, if this is what wearing a bra looks like, I don't want this.
And hence why that experience you've talked about is probably the experience of what, 80% of women
Exactly.
out there, and their bra size now is completely wrong. I think statistics have said 80% of women have got the wrong bra size as well.
Oh yeah. If that was my only ever experience of having a bra fitting, I would never want to do that again. And I think that is what you're talking about. It's those people that have had that experience. Why should I make myself feel like that again? Why should I be put in that situation? So yeah, for me, basically, I felt like that. And then as I sort of went through my teens, I navigated bra shopping and I found some really cool brands. And it was my opportunity to go to university. So kind of had a sit down with my family, and they were like, Katie, what do you love doing? What do you want to do at university? And at the time I was doing French, German, Spanish and English language A-levels. And I thought I wanted to be a translator, but after 2 years of doing that, I was like, I don't want to do anything to do with translation. I love fashion. And we found a course that was international fashion marketing at Manchester Metropolitan. And we just felt, you know, it ticked all the boxes. It was like fashion, it was international, which meant I was going to travel to different countries, and I could use my language skills that I've picked up. And then the marketing side is that core skill that kind of you can take through life, whether you stay in the fashion industry or not. It's really good to learn.
And that's an important point you've mentioned for the audiences. You know, you are allowed to change your direction in your career. So you thought there's one thing that you wanted to do, and you realize, actually, I've tried it, for a semester or a few weeks, few months, and you realize it isn't the direction you wanted to go, and you change direction. It's important for the audience to know that, you know, progress in career isn't linear, and you made a decision to pivot towards something that you're doing now.
Definitely. And I always say, and you'll see this as my career sort of progresses, passion. Passion is key, because passion is what puts the fire in your belly, is what makes you want to wake up in the morning, maybe work for your lunch break, maybe finish a bit later to get the job done. It's that passion that sees you through, and it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like you're chained to your desk if you're passionate about what you do. So yeah, I went to university, studied international fashion marketing. It was a sandwich year, which meant you had to do a year in industry. And it was during the recession when I was doing my university degree. So the likes of Debenhams, House of Fraser, all these big brands, Superdry, they were like trying to get you to come and work for them for a year for free, because it was the recession. So they weren't paying, but you'd come and work, be an intern, do a bit of photocopying, make a few copies, and you get your expenses paid. So every day you get your lunch. Thanks very much for that. And my dad refused. He said, Katie, you are not doing any of these internships unless you love that brand. And my dad's quite a strict guy, but he's always right. And he made me sit down and tell him why I loved each brand. And I couldn't tell him more than 5 things about each brand.
Do a pitch to your dad.
Yeah, I had to pitch to my dad to do an internship, because he said, I don't want you traveling into London every day and spending money getting there and not enjoying it. He's like, like I just said about
otherwise you won't learn anything from the work experience at all.
Yeah, exactly. And then he turned around and said, okay, so what do you love? And I said, I love lingerie, which, you know, conversation with your dad at the age of 18, not the easiest one to have, but he was very understanding. And he said, come on then, let's get on LinkedIn.
And find out what's out there.
Yeah, exactly. We got on LinkedIn, we found businesses, and we found the marketing managers, the directors, and I created a LinkedIn profile and I dropped them all a message. And it was like, hey, I need some work experience. I'm happy to do 2 days, 2 weeks, 1 year, whatever it takes. I want to work in the lingerie industry and I want a better understanding. And I was very much just putting myself out there. And I was also offering to work for free, but for something that I thought I'd enjoy much more than the other ones.
For the audience, how many no's did you get? Because that's important. How many people have been within this
I probably applied to about 20 and I got one yes.
There you go. And that is the lesson. You just keep going. What's the worst that can happen? Send the email, send the DM, send the text, because you never know.
Exactly. And that one yes was absolutely come in. We'll set you up on 2 weeks work experience. So I actually drove an hour and a half each way to my work experience for that 2 weeks. I loved it. I got stuck in. I was writing press releases on my third day. I was sending out samples to photo shoots for music videos. Like, this was all happening in 2 weeks. And every morning I went in excited. Every morning I wanted to wake up at 6 a.m. to get to the office for 8. And I went back to Manchester after my 2 weeks, and I remember getting a phone call and they said, Katie, we loved you. We loved everything you did for us in that 2 weeks. And we found budget and we want you to stay for a year. And I remember to this day dancing around my apartment in Manchester, not believing that this was happening to me, like shaking, crying. I was like, oh my God, this is mad. By the way, it was £10,000 that I got paid for that year, but it was still payment. It was still money.
Exactly. Yeah. It was your first job, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which was just incredible. And so I think it was, I did that. And then I think it was about 3 months later that I started officially with them, and I stayed with them for the entire year. Within that year, I sent bras to Kim Kardashian. She wore them on the front of People magazine in America. Rita Ora was wearing one of the brands, and like it sold out within 24 hours. It was like at the height of reality TV.
Yeah, and
having that attainable person wearing your stuff just literally took it to the next level. It was just a wild, incredible time. And by the way, this was even before Instagram when I was doing this job as well. It was Facebook and Twitter. They were the big things, and paparazzi. So a lot of this was built on paps, capturing these people, magazines, column inches. It was all about the column inches. So PR was like, old school PR. It was sending samples, getting them into magazines, and I was thriving. I was doing that for a year. I absolutely loved every moment of that job.
And at that point, you didn't even know what part of, marketing, obviously digital marketing has evolved since then.
Yeah.
You didn't even know what part of that sector you wanted to be involved in. You were just at that point passionate about the industry in terms of lingerie, through hard work, tenacity, and a great internship, landed this gig, and you still didn't know, isn't it, what direction you wanted to take?
No, but do you know, people kept telling me, you are such a PR girl. You're a PR girl. You are such a PR queen. And I was like, yeah, it's got a ring to it. I like that. And the more I understood, I was kind of leaning into that, very good at like chatting, sparking up conversation, building those relationships. Like, would meet someone twice, and then I'd be at top of mind for a lingerie feature, and they'd be like, oh, I'm doing this lingerie feature, thought of you. And that was something that was really important. And I think I actually forgot to mention, on my first day during my internship, they bra fitted me. But this was a totally different experience.
It was a better experience than the first one. Yeah.
There was no taking off my top. There was no measuring tape. There was no changing room involved. It was just the girl looking at me. And she said, what bra size do you wear? And I was like, a 38 double D. And she was like, no, you're not. You're a 32G. And I was like, you have to be joking. And they said, go on, get in the sample cupboard, put on a 32G, let us know. So I go in the sample cupboard, I put this bra on, I look down and I cry. But I'm crying because my boobs look like the girls in the magazines. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, they're up to my collarbone, they look amazing. I've got cleavage. And that kind of, again, that passion, I was like, wow, if I feel like this, imagine how other women would feel. And it's just exciting. And I think that really helped to kind of get into that job role and understand it, because personally it had really affected my life and made me feel better when working for this brand, and knowing if that can happen to me, it can happen to anyone that I work with. So that was a massive thing.
So how many years did you work there then? So you worked there?
So yeah, I worked there for a year, and then I went back to university for 1 year. And then before I took my exams for my final year, they called me up and they were like, we love you. come back. We don't want to do this student program again. We just want you. So I went back as a graduate, and I knew I had the job before I even took my exams, which really took the pressure off because I'm not an exam girl. Like, oh my God, I'm that girl with, like the herbal remedy, spraying it at the back of my throat, like shaking, sweating through my paper. All my like ink is smudged because I've got sweaty palms. I hate exams. So the fact I knew I had a job, I was kind of like, I don't really care what degree I've got, because I've always been that girl that's like work ethic over grades. My dad would always say, as long as that effort is 1, I don't care what the grade is. He went, if your effort's 4 and your grade is C, that's when you're in trouble.
That's true. And also the whole idea of going to university or an apprenticeship or a course is you are demonstrating in your life that you are able to stick with something for a long period of time, be consistent, be disciplined. And then ultimately that's what people see, that you have that in you.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think I've ever shown any employer my degree ever.
Well, they never are. No. You have it. It's in the bag, and then it's all work experience. Yeah, what can you do? What's your work ethic? What skills can you bring? How do you add value? Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I did that, and then I went back for another 4 years, and I was with them for 4 years. And it was just a glass ceiling for me, really, which was quite unfortunate because I loved the brand. I tried to stay with them and tried to move over to the sales team just to kind of diversify what I was doing, because I knew the PR manager wasn't going to leave anytime soon. And that was kind of the role that I wanted, because I was PR assistant. And then I did move into PR and social media assistant when Instagram kicked in and all of that. So I was heading up, like, I think I was doing 7 Instagram and Facebook and Twitter profiles at one point, along with PR. It was a chunky role as an assistant. And so I kind of, I vividly remember wanting to go for this sales role. And I applied for the job, and I was told by the sales manager that I was too much of a young puppy and I would scare the customers because I was too excitable and like too woo. And I didn't get the job. And they also told me, they said to me, Katie, this was a sales director. He sat me down and he looked at me and he went, the thing is, Katie, I just don't know if you'll be able to, hit the targets, or if you're very good at hitting targets, because of your role, it's very different at the moment. So being target driven, I'm not sure you've got it within you. And I just remember being so sassy. And I was like, okay, you want a target? I was like, give me 3 months and I'll be out of this business. And I was like, and you tell me if I hit that target.
Yeah, but don't forget, Katie, that was also at a time, I see it now, even in the business that I work for. So e-commerce and insight, it's not something that everyone understands. Everyone understands, sales, revenue, profit, bottom line. But when it comes to that space of customer and engagement and reach and insight, it's still a new world for a lot of people, which is why there are lots of, PR and digital agencies out there. But nevertheless, that led to a different role, isn't it? So you left.
Yeah, exactly. So I left, and then I went to become a PR manager for a startup lingerie brand, which was awesome. It was like putting them on their feet. They just wanted everything. They were just hungry for any kind of social media, any kind of PR. Let me go out there and completely do what I was good at. So I did that for 9 months, and I actually got headhunted after that to go and live in the Middle East and work for Al Shire.
I know, I saw that. I was like, you were at the Al Shire group. That's very interesting. Yeah.
So I was in a job role that I was loving, but there were some difficulties in the job. Very much big believer in stars aligning and fate. And I opened up my LinkedIn to find a message from Al Shire HR. And they were asking to recruit for a role within their marketing team, and they'd seen my profile and they were very interested in interviewing me for the job. Now, doing international fashion marketing at university, everyone would talk about Al Shire. They were like, if you want to live in the Middle East, if you want to work in the Middle East, only ever work for Al Shire. They are the trailblazers. They are the people that will look after you. They've got the good brands. go work for them. So I was kind of looking at this like, wow, what an opportunity. This is incredible. I didn't tell anyone, didn't tell my friends, family or anything. I just interviewed for the job, and I got the job. But I actually turned it down because it was for a PR executive for Wallace, which is, at the time, it was like a middle-aged kind of fashion brand, which is no longer around, and it just wasn't my vibe as like a 25-year-old. So I was like, no, I'm passionate about the lingerie industry. I'm passionate about fashion for the age group that I am. And I said, okay, but we want you to work for our company. We need someone like you. And next day they phoned me and they were like, we've made a role for you. This role was not actually available, but we've created it within American Eagle Outfitters. Yeah. So I was like, okay, yeah, I've heard of them. I understand that they're more targeted, for my kind of age range. So I'll take it. I'll take the job. Yep, it's a yes from me. I didn't even know how much I was going to get paid. I was just excited. I was like, I'll take the job. And then I had to go tell my parents, and they were like, where is it? And I was like, Kuwait. And they were like, Katie, do you know that's on the border of Iraq and Saudi Arabia? And I was like, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. It's okay. Yeah.
Honestly, my dad and my mum were so scared, and they were just like, we don't think you should take the job, but we want you to be happy. So obviously, you go and do it. Just always know you can come home. And I think for me, that was the thing. I was young, free, single. Also, I guess I was a little naive, maybe a little, I can't think of the word, but I kind of thought like I had it all. I was like, I've got the house, I've got the car, I've got the dog. Like, what? There must be more to life than this. Like, I'm just living in Market Harbour doing
this, isn't it? Because they always say traveling is a good way to expand your horizon as well.
Yeah, and I just thought I want to see what's out there. I was also very much just watched Sex in the City 2, and they were out in Abu Dhabi, and I was like, sunsets, Moroccan lamps, Carrie. I'm going to be Carrie walking through the souk. Like, in my head, I was like, that's what the Middle East is like. I was very wrong. It was not like that at all. It was very, very different. There was no magical lamps or carpets, but there were sunsets. So yeah, I went out there and I worked for American Eagle Outfitters. Within a year, I got given Jack Will's account as well. So I was heading up the PR and social media for Jack Will's and American Eagle Outfitters. I won the fastest growth within the rest of the world outside of America for American Eagle Outfitters social media, which was amazing. So it was a very successful job, incredible career progression for me, especially. I did find though, although it was career progression, it wasn't necessarily career progression for me, because I was teaching a lot of the Western ways to the Middle East. So PR out there, they hadn't quite grasped the concept. And PR was kind of seen as bribery. Gifting was seen as bribery. And it was kind of like re-educating that it's not bribery, it's just getting the best value for money, like, and kind of just changing the mindset of a massive company.
So, Katie, talk to me about your career and what you're doing right now for the audience. Not what you'd see on a job description, just really talk to me about that so people can get a feel and understanding for what it means to be in the role that you're in.
Yes. So right now on paper, my job role is PR and content manager / bra whisperer. It's not your usual job title, but my day-to-day is very much getting the Curvy Kate brand out there. So the PR and content side is basically ensuring all the influencers are wearing our brand, all the influencers are talking about our brand, all the celebs that we can get our hands on and boobs into the bras. I'm pushing them out. I'm creating those conversations. Still dealing with magazines, but just in a very different way to at the start of my career. So now it's kind of
digital versus print media.
Yeah, so much more digital. And I think the print value is much less. So it's very nice to have. Obviously, you will want a copy of a magazine that you're in, but it doesn't mean a lot anymore. Whereas getting it on said influencer, wow, like that's incredible. We see this generation of sales through that. We see see it within a 24-hour window.
The data, isn't it? The data's there. You can immediately analyze, pivot, change, make decisions quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a massive change in the role. It does feel sometimes like I am more of a salesperson. As we've kind of gone through the years, it was very much about brand awareness at the start of my career, and kind of, if we're in all of these places and people are seeing us, that is the job done. But now it is like, okay, so we were there, but how much did we make? We were on her, but how many did she sell? So, you know, I'm also learning about numbers. It's not my forte. I feel like I'm a creative person. The other side of the brain is a little bit slower when it comes to that, but I'm getting used to it. I'm here for a challenge, and I think that
I'm learning on the job as well, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and it does get exciting. You know, sometimes if you do see something pop off, we call it popping off. We're like, oh, that TikTok popped off. Look, she sold 100 of those, and then you're like, okay, so we paid her this, and you know, you do see that return on investment, and that can be really exciting, and it definitely helps you work smarter for the future. So I have that kind of like day-to-day role, and then the bra whisperer side is really kind of like, in my personal life, it's the passion project. Bra Whisperer comes with the Curvy Kate title, so they own the Bra Whisperer. In my personal life, I like to be called the Bra Queen. But that really is focused on bra fitting. So whether I'm the Bra Whisperer on TV or I'm the Bra Queen fitting the girl from next door, both of those roles are all about ensuring that this woman in front of me is wearing a bra that perfectly fits, that feels amazing, all on the educational side of things. So within that role, I want to ensure that every person I ever meet that wears a bra is fully educated, understands how to put on a bra, understands how to wash a bra, how to make a bra last longer, how a perfectly fitting bra should fit, why the bra that you're wearing right now isn't the best fit for you. And that's kind of like, that's what gets me up every morning, is ensuring that that education is being heard. That's what I do on my social media.
So with the Bra Whisperer, obviously the IP is owned by Curvy Kate, but would you say that's grown, that platform, the followership, etc., has grown because of you? Because you've been in that role for such a long time as Bra Queen. It sort of embodies you in a way.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I've brought to the role is my personality. And as cliche as it sounds, I love the saying. There's another hashtag that I guess I live my life by, is that nobody is you, and that is your superpower. And I think sort of when it comes to a role like this, and my mum always says it, she's like, Katie, you've got such a way about you that you make women feel so confident, so happy, so at ease in the role that you do. Like it's like this role was made for you, and you do it so well, but you do it what seems easy. You know, I think when you're good at something, when it flows, it appears easy to everybody watching. However, it can be very tiring for you as a person when you're giving so much energy outwardly and, you know, boosting everyone up. I do have to kind of like retract and hide under my blanket.
Also hard work. I guess for the audience, it's not just about being in front of the camera. So you're involved in, you know, participating probably in the shoots, the product development, understanding who you're going to be pitching to, sending to. Talk me around that.
Yeah, so in the entire business, I'm probably the person who has the most touch points with the customer. So in terms of bra fitting her, in terms of talking to her on social media, doing lives with her, like fully understanding what she loves, what she wants to wear. And also, I know competitors inside out. I've worked for them. I know how they tick. I know what they're bringing out next month. Like, I'm very focused on understanding the industry. So I feed all of that back into the business, and I talk about, you know, well, actually they don't really like this bra, or the colorway's not really working, or actually someone said, could we make this? And I've heard this a couple of times. So I feed all of that back into the design team. And what's really great about working for a brand like Curvy Kate is how nimble and agile we can be, which is very different to something like Alshire, which is a massive corporate machine where if I wanted to put one caption on an Instagram picture, I had to have it checked by 3 people. Whereas in Curvy Kate, it's like, yeah, if you want to write that, write it. Oh, yeah, if you want to try that, do it. If it doesn't work, we learn from it. We understand why it didn't work. If it does work, we do it again. But how can we do it better? And I think that is fundamentally what makes the brand so amazing. And although I've brought a lot to the brand, they've definitely kind of like bolstered my growth, and they've allowed me to kind of do my thing, but with their already large following, reach more people, but kind of bring my personality to it.
And how does that tie into, because, it's you are describing such an exciting role, might be a dream for lots of people, but I'm hearing throughout in the thread of this conversation, work ethic, is a very big part. If you were to think about your work ethic, describe 3 things that have contributed to you growing this role and the brand.
It goes back to that passion. Like I said, like having that passion, knowing that you live, eat, breathe the brand. If you want to tell everybody about the brand that you work for, if you believe in everything that they stand for, if you want everyone that you know and love to be wearing what you're selling, or, you just want to share that message, then that only increases the work ethic, because you're constantly thinking about it. You're thinking of it in a positive light. You believe in it and you want to share that message. Being a self-starter is huge. So I never ever, and I learned this from a very young age, actually, of people saying to me, oh yeah, I'll get you that. Or yeah, I'll help you do that. And then push comes to shove and you're like, oh, remember when you said you'd help me? And they're like, oh, sorry, I don't know them anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't do that anymore. I can't help you anymore. And, I learned that you can't rely on anyone to get you anywhere or to do anything. You have to do it yourself. And that is the best way. Do everything yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's tiring, but don't ever rely on someone else to get you where you want to be. No one believes in you more than yourself. Like, no one can do what you do more than you. So I think that's very much a massive part of my work ethic, is believing in myself and doing it and putting myself in front of the people, sending that LinkedIn message. I remember being at an award ceremony and bumping into a CEO of a company and getting in front of them and talking to them. I went to a Julia McDonald catwalk show, and Vanessa Feltz was there at the time, and Abby Clancy, and loads of celebs. I got in front of them and next day was sending them products because I told them about the brand I was working for at the time. And it's just taking that opportunity, being in that moment, and almost like the whole move into Q8. Well, it's a kind of oops moment. Oh, I did it. Oh, won't do that again. Rather than a what if? What if I'd spoken to her? What if I'd gone there? Like, just do it.
And you're a firm believer of, I wrote this down because we had this conversation before about manifestations and vision boards and mood boards. And I was like, oh, I don't like a vision board. And you were like, okay, write it down, Pinterest it. Just put all the things that you want to accomplish. Because if you write it down, then you will set timelines as to what you're going to do. You're a big believer of that. And you've manifested some very interesting things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. On my vision board for the last 3 years has been being on television. And actually, there's a statement that's on my vision board at the moment, and it says most wanted bra queen. And there's like pictures of people with cameras, and it very much emulates like the television. And I got onto Steph's Packed Lunch in January with a 17-minute segment about finding the perfect bra. I was in This Morning television studios on Friday doing bra fittings behind the scenes. And all of these moments, like, you could very much live your life thinking, oh, it's just happened. But actually, you've got to look back and think, remember when I wanted that so bad. Now I'm living it. And you've always got to check back on yourself and say, actually, yeah, like, I did work hard for that.
And pat yourself on the back as well. Like, every small step to get you to your career. What we're trying to tell the audience is that it doesn't happen overnight. You've been in the game for a few years now, and it's all been baby steps and learning by doing, stepping in, making mistakes, but still growing and developing at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think time. I think if all of this stuff had happened to me 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready. I wouldn't have been prepared. I wouldn't have been the best version of myself because I wouldn't have had the life experience that I have. So I think it's all fallen at a time for me when I can be the most confident and I can be the expert because I've got that 13 years behind me now. So I can confidently go on camera and say, yeah, this is the way that you wear your bra, like, and own it, Although maybe I manifested it, I put it first on my vision board 5 years ago. If I'd have got it the following year, I wouldn't have been ready. But what I was ready for was that other step in my career and things like that. I think it comes with life as well, even just moving apartments or I don't know, like finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend, like what that was all in our mental vision board. And it's all something we need to check in on and say, yeah, like even when we go to the gym, getting that personal best, lifting that
Yeah,
dumbbell or that barbell to 30 kilograms, like you didn't think you could do that a month ago. And now you're doing it. And you do, like
exactly.
you said,
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
pat yourself on the back.
Talk to me about the challenges, because obviously, challenges as a woman in the industry, challenges as someone who, you're putting yourself out there, talking about body positivity and body confidence, because that's something everyone needs to have. That's like the backbone foundation. If you are confident about yourself, that just manifests in everything you do, from work, relationships, career goals. Talk to me about the challenges that you've had and how you've overcome them.
Yeah, so I'm on social media a lot in my lingerie. So not only on my own Instagram, but Kyvie Kate, I'm very much like the face and body of the brand in certain scenarios. So I do live programs, and I have like a regular slot with Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And there can be like a lot of trolling going on during those times. And when I was in lockdown, I was living alone and I was doing these lives, and they became kind of like the central point of our sales at the time. It was like these lives were really boosting traffic to the website, so I had to keep doing them. And I remember one time I had 5,000 people watching a live, and it was like the biggest live we've ever done. And I sort of turned it off afterwards, and I had no one and had nothing like around me. And I was like, it was such a weird moment in my life, because I was like, whoa, like I just had 5,000 people watching me, telling me I'm amazing, saying how confident I am. And then I turn it off and there's no one. And I just remember feeling this loneliness that I'd never felt in my life before. And it was really horrible. So that was kind of like one moment when you realize that social media isn't real.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And to understand that actually, like, whatever happens on social media, whether that's positive or negative, I think we all hold on to negative things much more. You do have to let them go. Like, there has been times when people have told me I've got a flat bum, or I've got a fat tummy, or like I'm ugly, or whatever. Like, I've heard that, and sometimes it does get to you. It depends what time of the month it is, what happened that week. But you do have to kind of let it go. But it can be really difficult as well, because you're in a work capacity. So for me, it's like, I think that's another thing that sometimes I do struggle with, because everyone in my business has seen me in my underwear. And although they absolutely adore me, it's still one of those things where it's quite a challenge. If I'm in a meeting and I'm trying to put something forward that is deemed more serious or business-like, I'm like, oh, all these people are seeing me in my underwear.
You know what, Katie? Even if they hadn't, as women, we face that challenge when we walk through. I feel like sometimes, I was telling a friend of mine this, imposter syndrome, that no matter how you enter this boardroom or that meeting, you still feel, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I don't have the right hairstyle, hair color, skin color. I should have worn high heels. I should have worn trainers. You just have all these preconceived notions about what you should be, when actually, you said at the beginning, you just have to be your authentic self and keep that going, because that's what's brought you this far.
Definitely. And I think as well, if you are in business, talk to other business women, because it's really important. Like, you and I have these conversations quite a lot. But for example, like I said, I went and met the CEO of New Look, and she just humbled me. Like, she has been through pretty much everything that I spoke about. Some things she hadn't been affected by. But I learned from her and how she didn't let that affect her. And then I was with the commercial director, and she was saying that she had similar lines of things affecting her, especially with men in business and the way that they talk to you and the way that they can come across in meetings and things like that, and to kind of like how you navigate that. And I learned ways from them that allowed me to think, okay, yeah, next time I'm going to try this tactic when I start to feel I'm getting assertive or aggressive, when actually I'm just going to
Too
get
direct. Yeah. And so let's talk about networking, because we've talked a lot about just, speaking up in the room.
Yeah.
How do we encourage a younger generation out there, or someone who's starting out, to network and, engage with the people that they're trying to reach in that industry? What are some tips that you have?
Yeah.
You've said quite a few, but, if you were to summarize.
Well, I think for me, the first thing, just in general life and business, in love, is to always look up. I think a lot of us spend a lot of time looking down on our mobile phones and we don't see the world that's around us. And who knows who you could be walking past in the street?
That is
Who
true.
knows, like, who you could be connecting with? So
Building communities around you, basically, isn't it? In your day-to-day life.
exactly,
Yeah.
look up, smile at people,
Yeah.
engage in conversations, and compliment someone. Like if you really love someone's style, be like, hey, I love your jacket, because it might just be that they work for a brand that you really love. You just don't know who you're going to come across, and I think that's a really important part of life. Also, you don't know when you're going to come across them again in life, so always be nice to people. Because I've learned that in business.
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago as well. Yeah, be nice because you never know, and be kind. What about karma? You know, what you give out, that energy will come back
Exactly.
to you as well.
And be fearless, because we are, again, it's cliche, but we're all human. And, you know, even if you're the CEO, the director, the owner, the marketing president, whatever it might be of the company, we all still want human conversation. We'd all like to learn something as well. So actually, these people who are older in business, they look to the younger generation to learn. They want to understand about TikTok. So if you can bring something to that marketing director who's 65, who doesn't have any idea about TikTok, but if you can spark up a conversation and educate him on something he knows nothing about, that's like your foot in. That's an exciting thing.
Foot in the door, isn't it?
Yeah. So just don't be afraid to say hello and start a conversation. And even if it ends in, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. You've still made some kind of contact. Add them on LinkedIn. Just let them remember your face, and you never know what's going to come from that.
Really good. So let's talk about, you know, your at this stage in your life, what does success look like to you? I've got here in your personal and your professional life. What's your end game? So if we were to catch up in 10 years, where are you then?
Success for me in terms of my business career is leaning into more of that television side of things, leaning into presenting, and that is where I want to be. I've always said I want to be a QVC presenter, so if you see me on there, you know I'm living my best life.
Or maybe a better version of that, you know, an evolved version.
Exactly. So yeah, something to do with presenting. Again, just following that passion, following that what I really want to do in life, and that is for me the next step and where I want to be, but still very much along that bra fitting line, educating through the presenting of perfectly fitting underwear, body confidence. Very much like I see myself as the female Gok Wan, bringing that into, like, you know, what are we in? Is this still, what is it, 21st century?
Yes, 21st.
Yeah, whatever.
22nd, yes.
But I want to be doing that.
Yeah.
And in my personal life, I'm going to sound like Beyonce, but I just want to be happy. Happiness is key. And I think just like, again, it's so funny as you grow older, as you go through life. Like I always wanted to be the traveling, I wanted to party, and now I just want like an easy life. Not in terms of
basically, yeah.
Yeah, not in terms of like not doing anything. I just want simplicity and calmness. I don't want to feel like, yeah, I just want happiness and things to feel free flowing, and not putting too much pressure.
What do they call it? Mental and physical wealth in a way, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Contentment, you know, stillness, freedom in a way, you know, whether it's in your career, with the people around you, that's a really big piece as well.
Yeah. I always say health is wealth, and that is very much what I live my life by at the moment. So
if we're going to talk about health is wealth, work-life balance, how important is that to you then?
Again, it's something that since lockdown has become much more important to me, because I saw how important it was to rest, and also that I was living my entire life on adrenaline pre-lockdown. And then when I tried to get back into that commuting life, I was like, Mum, why am I so exhausted all the time? And she's like, it's because your body stopped and you reset, and then you don't have all that adrenaline that you were constantly topping up every time that you were waking up at 5 a.m, going out till 1 a.m, networking. So I very much like look after myself, and I make time for exercise.
Is that your form of self-care then?
Yeah, massively. And you know what? It's a really weird one, working in like the body positive, body confidence arena, that sometimes when you work out and when you do things to kind of like move your body and perhaps your body changes, you can feel like you're doing a disservice to the audience that you perhaps have been speaking to about body confidence and loving yourself. And I think my friend Marlon Anderson has been going through that as well, as she's recently lost a lot of weight due to exercise. But I'm kind of like I'm always doing it for myself. I'm never doing anything for other people. And when it comes to exercise, it's all for up here, because when I move my body, I feel less lethargic. I feel like my mind is open. I feel strong. And I think that's why I work out. That's why I look after myself, is strength, because I think if you're physically strong, you feel mentally strong as well.
I think that's a game changer now, because obviously, you know, we've grown up in the whole diet culture and fad diets, and this is what you should look like to be on the cover of Vogue, etc. And now we're seeing, you know, Rihanna with her baby on the cover of Vogue, Beyonce when she'd gained the weight on the cover of Vogue, and exercise, like you said, it's about functional fitness, I believe, functional training, having that dopamine hit in your head, but to help you have clarity, be more productive. And all of those are really positive. And also, as women, our bodies evolve, and we need to realize that. So whether in your teens, your 20s, your 30s, I'm in my 40s, your body is constantly evolving, and you can still be body positive at different shapes, sizes, and different phases of your life. So I would encourage that definitely for our audiences. If they can get into fitness early, that will just help them, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I talk a lot about with boobs. It's like a boob journey. You can't pine after your 18-year-old boobs for the rest of your life. Like, you have to embrace the ones that you have now after
Your bra size changes as well.
Yeah, everything changes.
They didn't tell us that.
Yeah. The texture changes, the softness, the firmness, the roundness, like it all changes. But we have to just embrace it, and we have to love it, and we can find ways to make them more uplifted, or you can have them sat more naturally. Like, there's so many ways that you can make your boobs feel better to you, or more comfortable, or you can feel more confident with the shape that you have. But I would never say to anyone like who I find a lot of women are waiting to love their body. They're waiting for them to lose the weight, or they're waiting until they do this or that, and then they're going to love themselves. They're almost like putting this little time.
When I achieve this, then I will be happy. When I achieve that, you have to do it now.
Exactly. And that comes with life goals as well. Like, you have to be happy at every stage, because that's what's going to help you move through life.
Do you feel like when setting goals, I do this thing where I set obviously long-term goals, the goals that I'd like to achieve, then mid-term goals, and then short-term ones are like just today, just this week, seeing that my kids are healthy, or I've had a good day, or I went out for a run. I break them up into chunks, because if you're just focusing on that long-term, the long-term goal that you're working on, it sometimes puts unnecessary pressure, and you forget to actually smell the roses and enjoy what's around you.
Definitely. I totally agree. And like today, I went for a walk around the park, and I just took it all in, and I was like, wow, like this is so beautiful, and the sky is blue, and just really breaking it back down to super simple. This is why we're on Earth, instead of the rat race, instead of trying to earn all the money to get to the next thing. Like, you have to break it down to just why we're here, and just enjoy the little things, for sure.
So let's talk about relationships, because those are, super important. What are the key relationships in your life, and what have these relationships taught you?
So my mum and dad are a massive part of my life. I'm an only child. And
I was an only child for 8 years, so I can know what it feels like for 8 years.
It's absolute bliss.
And now I have amazing siblings. We're 8 in total. So yeah, that in there. Yeah.
I said to my mum it was at Christmas actually, because we saw a family and there was like 2 little boys, and I looked at my mum and I was like, I really can't imagine what it would be like to always have someone else with you. Like, you had to be with them all the time, like, because I was always so free as a kid, and I'd have like adult conversations because wherever mum and dad went, I went, and not necessarily all of their friends had children, so I'd have to sit and talk to the parents. And yeah, I think being an only child is amazing in terms of growth, but there can be a lot of pressure put on you as well, unknowingly. I think it's kind of like, well, you're going to be the first to go to university. You're going to, grandchildren, don't have anyone else to rely on. Weddings, well, we've only got you. So it's kind of like those things can, and when I say that to my parents, they're like, no, we never want you to feel that pressure. And I think maybe I put that pressure on myself, but there's always that underlying current, I think, from any parent in terms of marriage and grandchildren.
You on yourself, but also society puts those pressures.
Yeah, exactly.
Women, when do you get married? When you have children? When are the grandchildren coming? All these things, when actually life, and like you said, 21st century, everything has changed so much. You don't have to get married at 20. You don't have to get married in your 30s. If you focus on yourself and you're content, and one thing about you, Katie, you're an only child, but you're a people person.
Yes.
You are a great communicator. You have taken on a movement of body positivity, which is very hard to take on and do it in a accessible way. You know, people feel like, oh, I understand what she's saying. I understand her journey. So don't knock that out of you. It's positive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think throughout everything I've spoken about in this podcast, a lot of it always comes down to mum said, dad said, my parents. They're such a massive support system to me. And I went to therapy during lockdown. I had a lot of demons in terms of past relationships, not with my family, but boyfriends and even friendships. You know, some friendships can be very toxic. And I learned a lot about my family and how I communicate with my parents and how I could do better, but also things that perhaps I've hung on to that I don't need to. And there was a lot of letting go. There was a lot of learning. And I think it really strengthened my relationship with my family and my parents. And they always just want me to be the best version of myself. And I think the biggest learning I've had is that, yes, mums are always right. As much as you want to fight it, they're always right.
Yeah. Do you also think about, you've talked about therapy, which I think is a good point to touch on for the audience is, you know, if you need therapy, it's good to seek out advice and counseling out there. It's important. And also you touched on another thing, letting go of toxic relationships, whether it's friendships or boyfriends or girlfriends, you got to let that go. If they're not serving you, let it go.
Yeah. I think that's the thing for me. I went to therapy because I think when you get to sit with your thoughts for a long period of time, like you did in lockdown, you start to understand what really is like niggling at you and perhaps holding you back. So I was really lucky to be introduced to a female trauma therapist who only deals with women and also focuses on female trauma. And she was incredibly down to earth, and I understood everything she was saying. I never felt judged. I always felt like encouraged. And she'd say things like, yes, queen. And you know, when you're just like, yeah, that's the kind of thing I need. That's
someone who's relatable, isn't it? I read some an article about, so as a person of color, and usually people of color tend not to seek therapy or counseling because we need someone who understands, if you're of African heritage, it's a different culture. Yeah. You know, if Africa is also a continent, so if you're from Zambia or Ghana or Nigeria, it's completely different. So finding a therapist who understands you as a woman, a person of color, culture, and then obviously if you migrated to another country, there's so many dynamics. Yeah. So it really resonates with what you're saying, that you found someone who you could relate to and understood you as well. Obviously, it was very objective, but understood you.
She was like my cheerleader, like absolutely. She understood me to a degree that I didn't understand. So she kept on saying to me all the time, every session, be like, but who's the real Katie? And I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, I am the real Katie. And she's like, yeah, but, and we broke it down. And I think when you asked me, like, what, you know, the next 10 years, and I said, I just want an easy life, I've been quite like the showman, I guess, for a lot of my life. And although I am a big personality, but deep down, I do want cuddles on the sofa and I do just want to chill out and I don't want to always be at the front, but I just kind of made that life and that's what I was doing. So I was kind of like running on the treadmill all the time doing this. And I think especially in relationships, I thought that love was going out and showing me off and buying me gifts. And if that wasn't happening, then what worth were they to me? Like, if you wanted to sit and watch Netflix, well, you obviously don't like me because you don't want to take me out. That was very much like, yeah, that was my mentality. And then she helped me break down who I really was inside, that perhaps I hadn't been wanting to show. And also that came from like childhood stuff and vulnerability. So I thought that being vulnerable meant you were weak, and if you showed emotion to certain things, and you were weak, and I never wanted to be seen as weak. But I learned about vulnerability, and now I'm incredibly vulnerable when I want to be, and I'm not ashamed of it. So I will allow people to see my vulnerabilities, whether I'm in meetings or in a relationship or talking to my parents or my friends, and I allow a space for everyone to be vulnerable. And I think that's a really like positive thing, to understand that vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. It just means like showing your inner self, your true self,
your core self, isn't it? That comes with age and experience, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. I lived my whole 20s being like on a first date. By the way, I'm on this date with you because I want you, not because I need you. That was like my opening line.
Out there, yeah. And the guy's like, what is going on here right now?
Literally, that is how I was.
Yeah, you know what I would do on a first date? I'd be like, so I realize we're here. So if you this was my comfort zone. If you don't like me, it's fine. We'll just end the date after 30 minutes. And in hindsight, I'm thinking, wow, what a way to even start or begin this conversation. Exactly. You're setting yourself up for failure, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what she used to say to me a lot: self-sabotage. She's like, Katie, don't self-sabotage. You self-sabotage that situation. Stop self-sabotaging. And then when you understand what self-sabotage means and what it means to you, then you can start unpicking it, unlearning it, and move forward. So yeah, like the relationship that I'm in now, this man is incredible. He's incredibly busy all the time. He's a phenomenal person, and he's very different to everyone else I've ever dated. The relationship is a lot slower than every other relationship I've been in, but these are all positive things. And I remember at the very start, I was like, oh, like, I don't know, like my heart's just like, not like boom every time like I see him. And I was like, is he the right one? I don't know. My friend was like, do you know what it is, Katie? It's like, he's consistent. Yeah. And he will be there when he says he'll be there. He texts you back every single time you message him. He doesn't leave it for days with you not knowing if he likes you or not. And then you get this message and it's like this hit of serotonin when you're like, oh my God, he likes me. Great. He's messaging me back. And then that kicks in and you get those butterflies again. It's like, no, like he's stable. He knows himself and he's in your life because he wants to be in your life. And there's no guessing games. It's just easy. Yeah.
And that's butterflies all the time. It's consistency.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was very much, I was always living on the edge of whether this person liked me or not, or trying to get people to like me, almost like a game. It was like, oh, well, maybe they don't like me as much as they could, but I'm going to make them like me. I'm going to make them fall for me. And then I'll feel like I've won a medal because I've won that person over, It
was really good learnings, evolution, I suppose, isn't it? Some good tips to take out there. So one thing we haven't talked about is obviously you're a founder of Weir Wonderful.
Yes.
And why is that important to you? It's good for our audience to know because it's, something that you started.
Yeah. So I actually started Weir Wonderful when I got back from Kuwait and living out in the Middle East. I had to dress in a really conservative way. I was really toned down. Like I was stripped back. I was toned down. I was basically, my whole personality was left with just a P. And my dress sense was incredibly confused, but I was fitting in.
Yeah.
So I was doing well out there. However, when I came home, I was like, fuck this. Like, I want me back. Yeah. So I set up Weir Wonderful to get down to my underwear, to empower women, because, I might have followers from all over the globe, but generally as a British society, like we are empowered. We do have the ability as women to do the most that we can.
Different culture. And it's Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I really wanted to embrace that, and I wanted to kind of just put my version out to the world. So when I got back from Kuwait, I started Weir Wonderful. It was a bra fitting service. I did bra teas, which are bra parties. So I would go around to women's homes and I'd bra fit them all, and there'd just be like this amazing energy. Everyone would learn and realize that actually lingerie isn't like an Ann Summers party. Lingerie is functional, but also beautiful, and it's all about the woman when we do it this way. And then I do corporate companies. So I'd go into like Benefit Cosmetics and Bra Fit their entire female workforce and just help them feel amazing in the bras that they were wearing. And then on social, I'd be educating, just dancing around in my underwear, which I still do now, and just showing people how great perfectly fitted lingerie can be, really.
Isn't it? When you see how women, I mean, women crying because they have a bra that fits.
Yeah.
When you have larger boobs or even smaller ones, or you think they're too small, or it's just an amazing feeling, I think, for women in general. And that exudes as to, if you got a bra that fits well, then also you start looking at, oh, does my dress fit well?
Yes.
Do my joggers fit well? Does my suit? It just transcends into other aspects of your life.
Definitely. And my tagline for Weir Wonderful was lifting boobs, spirits, and confidence, because I truly feel that when you've got your foundations right and your lingerie is the first thing you put on in the morning, if that is looking amazing, if that is matching, if that is colourful, if that is
you up for the day.
Yeah, exactly. How can you not feel incredible? And then you put your dress on top and that looks great. And then you put your jacket and you're nipped in at the waist and your shoulders are back and you're holding yourself in an amazing way. And talking about being a woman in business, I think one of the biggest power moves that we can make as women is to walk into a meeting with a whole boardroom of men and wear something super sexy underneath your outfit that no one else knows you've got on. And that is a power move.
Yeah, that's all the time.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I feel this.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I feel like so many people who work in corporate environments can feel, like I did in the Middle East, like a bit held back because you have to wear a certain dress. It has to be this length.
Also, Katie, women should not wear sexy lingerie just when they are having a sexy moment with their partner. You have to be confident and sexy all the time for yourself, for you, and not wait for that special night or date night or weekend or Valentine's Day. I know it's very commercial for the lingerie industry, but every year, all the time, being consistent for yourself, that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And also sexy looks different on everyone.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really important. It's like you might feel super sexy in your black plain bra, but if that is what makes you feel sexy, then you rock it, you wear it.
Yeah.
Or you might feel super sexy in your red lacy that's super commercial, but go forth and slay. Or it might be the bra with strawberries all over it. Whatever it is, whatever makes you feel sexy, continue wearing that, continue owning it, because sexy is only sexy when there's confidence behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive thing. Like, you could go buy the sexiest set of underwear, but if you're not confident in it, you're not going to give sexy to the world.
Exactly. Oh, that's amazing. So, let's talk about, we've talked about networking. We've talked about the fact that you engage, connect, you go out there, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail fast and learn right away. You talked about mentoring. So you have a mentor.
Yeah.
How has that been? How did you go about finding a mentor? It's something that I think about, but for audiences out there, how do they go about finding a mentor if they're looking for one?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because me and my boyfriend, we have these conversations all the time. We both are always wanting to be better. Mm-hmm. And I kind of said to him, I'm like, how can I be better? And he was like, you need to learn from someone who is better than you.
Who's in the position that you're looking for, I suppose.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Just basically vibed with a woman at an event. And she was really high up in this company, and she was just my kind of person. She was like dancing on the dance floor, like telling me how incredible her workforce were, introducing me to her head of marketing because she's a creative, amazing woman who I needed to connect with. And I just felt like I need more of you in my life. Like, you give me all of this positive energy And as I go through my career, if I end up becoming a CEO, like this is the kind of CEO I want to be, like approachable, fun, but get the job done. So I just asked her, I was like, can we go for coffee? Can I get to know you more? And she was like, oh my God, of course. Let's put like half an hour in the diary, half an hour turns into an hour. And then, you know, we had such great conversations and she was learning stuff from me. I was learning stuff from her. So it was a very much two-way conversation that we were both left wanting more. So then it became kind of like a more regular situation. And again, it is that. It's like, feel out your people. No one wants to be mentored by someone they don't understand or that they don't want to learn from.
They
or
don't
that
like as well, isn't it? Yeah, there has to be a connection as well.
Yeah, and you have to want to learn. It has to be relative to you. And I'll never forget at university, I did financial management. I've said already, maths is not my thing. But our teacher, he was teaching us about rally bikes, right? It was a whole year on rally bikes, profit and loss accounts. I got 27% that year in my financial management exam. And then the next year, we end up doing Burberry's profit and loss account. And all of a sudden, I went from 27% to 76% because I was engaged. I wanted to learn. I was doing something that was relative to me. And so I wanted to put more effort into it. I wanted to listen. And I think that's the thing. It's like finding the piece that matches your puzzle and like your future wants, or maybe
relatable as well. So you talk about finance. It's easy to understand finance if they're talking about something that you can understand, breaking it down into chunks as well, isn't it? Because, you know, profit and loss statement of rally bikes is like, what? But if it's fashion or lingerie, saying, well, if you sell 100 of these, and you know, it's just making it relatable. You're right. So finding a mentor, the top tip is going out there, seeing people who inspire you, who you could relate to, approach them. You may have to approach 20 or 30 people, and out of that, it might be one person that you gel with and take it from there, I suppose.
Yeah. For me, sliding in the DM. Just do it. Like I'm sliding in everyone's DMs everywhere. Anytime.
For the right reasons, audience, for the right reasons.
Yeah. For positive reasons. Yes. But yeah, just like opening up conversation, whether that be on LinkedIn, Instagram. I probably wouldn't do Facebook because Facebook's a bit too personal. Yeah. So yeah, Instagram or LinkedIn, I think are great ways to kind of connect. Networking events, like go to, you know, these kind of networking events. Also, I'm sober. I've been sober for 2 years, and they do this like Sober Girl Society event as well. And you just don't know who's going to be at those events. It's not necessarily a business networking event, but it's just something.
Some of these events are free. So there's the option of, depending on where our audience is, you might say, well, there are not loads of events in the country that I live in. Some are online, are free. You just sign up.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a good way. Or if you are in a country or city where the events all the time, there are free ones as well. So start with that. So you're not spending money that you don't have to go to events. And like you said, there are ones that are, you know, what did you call it? The Sober Society.
Yeah, Sober Girl Society. But also just talking to people. I think a lot of us aren't curious enough. And sometimes, like, even talking to our friends or friends of friends, if you don't ask curious questions, then you don't really learn about someone, and you can only learn like that much when actually there's this much about them. So the more that you ask questions, the more that you might understand that actually they know this person, or they do this job, or you know, and then you get to learn a lot more about everyone rather than kind of living in your little bubble and not being
a little bubble. Exactly. And never trying. So finally, 3 trailblazer takeaways to share with their audience. So sharing with the audience is, you know, if they're starting out now, things that you wish you knew now when you were starting out, what are 3 takeaways we can give the trailblazers out there?
At one point in my career, I was earning so much money, literally so much money. So I had, for a very short period of time, I was doing PR on my own, and I had about 6 clients. I was earning the most money I'd ever earned. I cried every single day. I was so unhappy because I wasn't doing what I loved. I was just chasing the money. I was in a gap in my life. And I think for me, that was the biggest moment where I was like, money doesn't make you happy. Obviously, it does have its benefits, but yeah, that was the moment I realized I would rather wake up every day wanting to do a job than earn this amount of money and feel the way that I do. So I also think that passion translates into money, if that makes sense. So I was crying because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. Now I'm doing what I want to do and I'm loving it. And I want to put every moment of my energy into it.
And so therefore, is coming, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes back into your life and there's more opportunity and there's more money because the opportunities are flowing. It might take a bit longer, but they will come. And I think finally just having like a positive mental attitude, even when things don't seem to be going your way, like just try to think positively. Or even if you can't think positively, think neutrally, don't think negatively. Just be like, tomorrow will be a better day. I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be okay. I'll have a coffee, and allow yourself breaks as well. And don't feel guilty for resting.
That is brilliant. And on that note, Katie, I'd love to say thank you so much for appearing on the podcast. I'm sure you've inspired someone out there. You are in real life trailblazer. I consider you that. And we'll continue to watch your journey as you go along. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Antola. It's been amazing to be on here. And I wish you every single success with your podcast as well. I can't wait to see it on all the channels.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was one amazing podcast, don't you think? If you enjoy what you heard and were just as inspired as I was by our guest, please share on all your socials and remember to follow, subscribe, and like this channel. See you next time. I've been your host, Intola, on the Trailblazers Experience podcast. See you next time.